And welcome to The Topic, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for joining us today. If you're watching us on HCC TV, YouTube, or any of our social media, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. And you can download all audio podcasts at hccs.edu/podcasts. We're talking engineering today, specifically the Texas A&M-Chevron Engineering Academy at HCC. And we're going to talk with a couple of folks here telling us about it today. Joining us, Northwest College President Dr. Zachary Hodges and John Vasselli, Director of the HCC Engineering Center for Excellence. Both joining us. Thanks for both of you being here.
Thanks for having us.
You know, before we get into the academy itself, we're facing, you and I have talked before, and Houston and the country is facing a very unique situation over the next really decade or so, where engineers are retiring, and this is going to be a problem.
It is. We employ currently more than 90,000 engineers in the greater Houston area. That'll grow by roughly 7%. So the projections in the next 10 years is there'll be more than 100,000 engineers working in the Houston area.
Right.
The challenge is that 70,000 of those are baby boomers. My age group, they'll be retiring.
All around the same time, too.
Exactly.
Within a year
and so over the next 10 years, we've got to not only grow 7%, but we've got to replace those 70,000 that are retiring. That means that in round numbers, we've got to hire 8,000 engineers every year for the next 10 years, and we're graduating maybe half that number. So there is there will be a real shortage of engineers in the area, and from my perspective, American know-how is engineering.
Yeah.
So we really need to solve this problem.
And engineers you need across industries. You really need them, from keeping your vehicles operating to keeping your roads maintained.
Yep, absolutely. And we're not only a major hub for energy, but for transportation and logistics and medical and manufacturing. And so arguably Houston's the engineering capital of the country, maybe the engineering capital of the world. So this is a strategic issue. And this was recognized because of the demographics of it. It was recognized several years ago. And that's why some of these programs and partnerships were established to try to respond in advance to the demand that we know is coming.
Let's talk about the academy itself, the concept, and where it started and how long it's been around, and we'll get to these partnerships that we have.
Sure.
You could talk, maybe Dr. Hodges, you want to start with this?
Yeah, I guess we're 5 years into the Texas A&M-Chevron Engineering Academy. Really excited about that. As we talk about the pipeline of students into engineering, you really have to look at that as a kind of a K through 16 model.
Right.
And the demographics of Houston are changing. So I think Texas A&M recognized those changing demographics in the state of Texas and specifically in Houston and reached out to us. I'm really proud of Houston Community College responding in the way we did to creating that first 2 years of a curriculum that attracted Texas A&M to Houston Community College. So, that's a real coup for Houston Community College, but also Texas A&M.
And this is a very unique program where it's 2 and 2, where you start here and then finish with pertaining colleges. But you save on half the cost of going to a traditional 4-year university. For students who are coming out of college with $80,000 to $100,000 in debt many times, this is huge.
It is. And it's really more than a 2+2, because traditional 2+2, they take 2 years at a community college and then transfer to complete 2 years. In the academy program, the students are actually taking Texas A&M engineering courses taught by Texas A&M faculty. Absolutely. So they are Texas A&M students. They're co-enrolled. They are Texas A&M students from their first day as a freshman. And so they have 2 ID cards. They go up to the College Station for tailgate parties and football games and career fairs and that sort of thing. So it really is a very unique program. And as you said, not only does it give them a pathway into Texas A&M where they can start here in Houston, but it saves them a considerable amount of money. And because they're not really transferring, they're transitioning because they've been an A&M student from day one. It actually makes that transition a lot easier because when they go to College Station, they already know 100 or 200 of the students that are going to be there on campus when they finally move away from home. So it really is a wonderful program.
Dr. Hodges, I know you get out and speak to the community and promote a lot of these programs. What's been the reaction when you, because being a parent of a college student, you know, you hear something like this and it's too good to be true. You know, what's the reaction been with folks you've been telling about?
That it's too good to be true. You know, what's that about? Houston Community College partnering with Texas A&M,
Right.
and these students are jointly enrolled. So we're, you know, as we approach the community, you know, higher education is changing.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it goes back to the demographics. Students are going to attend close to home and then go to A&M. These, a lot of our students are not going to go directly to Texas A&M. So, so the engineers, once we orient them to this concept, say, "Oh my gosh, you're right on target. This is critical for Houston. It's critical for my industry," and you know, it's too good to be true. So you really
Right.
have to spend some time explaining the new concept.
And I know, John, you guys work tremendously with partners to place these students or get them on the road to be placed. How does that handle since they're going to Texas A&M? Do they help them with job placement as well?
Oh, absolutely. We bring all the students up to the A&M career fairs, and those career fairs will have 300, 400 companies,
Right.
you know, up there. And so we bring them up first to just see it, you know, walk the floor and get a sense of it. But we actually have experience of our students talking to some of those companies and walking away in their freshman or sophomore year with an internship
Wow.
in the summer because they had talked to a company and wound up getting a job offer. And so
Yeah.
so we really want them to understand that Houston Community College is kind of a window or a pathway for them to be able to then go to a major university and all of that, what that means, including the opportunities to get jobs, because every major employer comes to A&M every year to,
Right.
you know, to hire their graduates.
And Dr. Hodges, John mentioned internships, and my first job I got from doing an internship. I imagine you speak with a lot of parents. What do you tell them about internships, how important these are?
Well, internships are critical. So many of our students have really never thought about being an engineer.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get them early in high school, getting them up to be college ready. You know, first math course at Houston Community College, pre-engineering, is Calculus 1. So
Wow.
you've got to be prepared in high school. So experiential learning, whether it's in the public schools or at the community college level, through an internship, are critical to the success of these students. You know, it's a high reach for any student to be in engineering. So if they've got some experience with a business or industry, it's going to make it that much more appealing to them to do the hard work that's required.
You mentioned something about K through 16. This is a K through 16 mentality. How do you reach those students when they're in the kindergarten? How do you go to the school districts and get them to get on board with, you need to start training these engineers when they're 7 or 8 years old, not when they're 17?
No, it's exactly right. And the truth is, we try to catch them in middle school when they
Okay.
start making their decision. They've got to take Algebra 1 in 9th grade, period.
Right.
And if they don't, then they're behind. So we have to work with our public school partners to you know, educate them on what that curriculum looks like for students, and we do that. And Houston Community College is doing a great job of working with our public school partners to educate them, but we've got to do it as a team. So K through 16 really is what it's all about. You've got to be prepared all along the way.
We're talking with the president of HCC Northwest, Dr. Zachary Hodges, and John Vasselli, who is the director of the Center of Excellence for Engineering here at HCC. Both are joining us. We're talking engineering. We've got more coming up here on the topic. Stick around. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the topic. We're talking engineering here on the show all today. It's about the Texas A&M Engineering Academy here at Houston Community College. We're joined by John Vasselli, the Dean of HCC Engineering Center of Excellence, and we're now joined by Texas A&M Associate Professor of Practice, Bjorn-Harald Bangstein. Thanks for joining us here on the topic.
Thank you.
We've got centers of excellence are located all across the district. Many of the courses you can take anywhere. Is that the case with engineering? Can you take these courses for the academy anywhere, or are they located specifically on one campus?
It is true for our general engineering program, but in the case of the Texas A&M-Chevron Academy, we try to have our students go together through all their courses in a cohort.
Okay.
That is to say that not only are they taking the A&M engineering courses together, but they're going to take their calculus course and their chemistry course and their physics courses together, because we want them to get to know each other. We want them to get to study together. We want them,
in your peers that you're going to eventually move to Texas A&M.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so when they transition to the main campus, they already have a network of people that they know and that they can study with. All the studies show that significantly improves success rates of students. So they're not doing it alone. They're doing it as a team. From that situation, we try to have all of the technical courses that students need to take in their first and second year within the A&M Academy together on our Spring Branch campus. Now, there are situations because of work commitments or other things where a student can't take all their courses together, and then we allow them to take those courses anywhere on any of our other campuses. But we do encourage the students to take the courses together, and typically those are on our Spring Branch campus.
Why did Texas A&M get involved with this type of academy with Houston Community College? Is this a model that you're using, that Texas A&M is using across the state?
Yeah, it is. So this is one of our 7 different academies, and actually that's just spreading out the college campus to all these academies. So giving actually the broader access for students in Houston and at the other locations as well.
And these students, they get to go to the football games?
They do.
You get to go to the football games. You're here in Houston, but you get tickets to the games, huh?
Yeah, we got the ticket to the games. I think we bring up like 3 or 4 times from Houston up to College Station. As mentioned before, the career fair, football games, and all that stuff as well. Mm-hmm.
So they're actually students in the brotherhood of Texas A&M when they're coming to HCC. How does that work with the transition? I guess if I'm a parent, I'm thinking, okay, my kid's going here to school. He's going to HCC through Texas A&M, but in 2 years, do I find housing for him on campus? How does that work? Do you guys assist the parents and the students in helping with this?
Yes, there are some support to it, but pretty much some of the students you can move up after 1 year or maximum 2 years.
Okay.
So most of the students find an apartment outside the main campus. And
so they're not required to live on the campus right away?
They're not required to live on the campus, no.
Okay. What's been the reaction of the students wanting to move? Do they get excited after this second year, like, oh, I'm going to be in College Station, going to classes there? What's been their reaction to this?
Yeah, so a lot of them are very excited about it, but the transition is not that big as you think, because they have been there multiple times. They are starting to merge their some of the taken even courses over there as well. So they're pretty much the more of the practical part that you have to find on your own apartment. Maybe here in Houston you live with your family or your parents and so on. So the more like a practical part, but all the other stuff, because you are a Texas A&M student from day one. So there's just the moving part of it.
Typically we have our students come back and talk to the students that are currently in the program.
And tell them how great it is.
How great it is. And the reaction is always the same. That transition is much easier, and for many of our students, where the financial challenges are as great as the academic challenges, that ability to live home and even work for the first or second year makes it possible for them to be able to afford to complete their junior and senior year on the main campus with all that means at a major university like Texas A&M.
But you're also, as we mentioned at the top of the show, you're saving tremendous amount of money by going through a program like this.
We really do.
And you're still getting the quality education from HCC and Texas A&M.
That's
For
correct.
being dual
In
enrolled.
fact, if you look at when the students actually transition, because they can either do it after 1 year or after 2 years, about half the students will move to Texas A&M after 1 year. The other half intentionally stay on for the second year to save those additional 10 or 12 or
Yeah.
$15,000 to then be able to finance the remainder of their undergraduate degree. So it really it's a combination of not only saving the money, but the fact that because at HCC our class sizes are smaller, they have the infrastructure of family and students in the cohort, that both academically and financially we lower those barriers that have traditionally really limited the number of students that even consider pursuing an engineering degree.
Engineering seems like a very ambiguous term because it could apply to so many types of engineers. What's the students that are going through this academy, what's the most popular position they may go on to?
So what we're seeing right now, there's petroleum engineering still.
Right.
There's cyber security, mechanical engineering, structural.
So we've got petroleum, cybersecurity, mechanical. Those are three pretty, and HCC just happens to have programs for all those too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But pretty much A&M like 22 different programs.
Okay.
So students actually have a broad spectrum of all of them actually.
If you're an engineer, does it lead you to other professions outside? Say you start off as a petroleum engineer, could you work into administration somewhere? Will it be able to translate into a second career, maybe halfway through?
Sure. So I think I'm on my fifth
Yeah,
career.
yeah.
Absolutely. Engineering is a way of thinking, right? It's a way of analyzing complex problems and looking at assumptions and looking at your options and selecting the optimum solution. And so while typically an engineer coming out with a bachelor's degree will start out as a working engineer,
right.
They will migrate into program management or marketing or, in the case of or president,
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
it really is, it's a foundation. It's like a business degree, but technical, right?
Right.
It is a foundational way of thinking that then they can build on as their career develops and as their interests kind of focus them in different directions.
I throw that question out because, of course, we have a chancellor who is a trained engineer here at HCC, and I've learned more and more throughout my career that you find out, well, this person in charge was trained as an engineer, or this person in charge. So from what it sounds like, it translates, if you want to be an engineer, into other disciplines where you could go into management or something like that, because like you said, it's a way of thinking.
We're not scared by big complex problems.
We are talking the Texas A&M-Chevron Engineering Academy. We're joined by John Vasselli, who is the Dean of the HCC Engineering Center of Excellence, and Texas A&M Associate Professor of Practice, Bjorn-Harald Bangstein. Thanks for joining us once again. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about Chevron's involvement with this academy. You're watching The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll be back after this.
This is Ronik. She's a mom with a physics degree, so she understands the power of momentum. And she knows that by learning English at Houston Community College, she'll be unstoppable. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we're talking the Texas A&M-Chevron Engineering Academy here at Houston Community College. We're joined today by John Vasselli, the Dean of the HCC Engineering Center of Excellence. And we're now joined by Chevron Operations Manager of Product Supply and Trading, Shari Ruelas. Thanks for being here on The Topic.
Thank you for having me.
John and I were talking earlier about the shortage of engineers that the country is really facing, not only just the Houston area. That's obviously a concern for you guys at Chevron.
Yes, it sure is. So Chevron has been sponsoring this Chevron Academy for a number of years, and it really is to increase the number of candidates going into engineering, as well as to increase the diversity and inclusion that we have in our engineering ranks.
Right. You know, I've always been fascinated with HCC. Since I've joined on board, I've been witness to advisory boards that the Center of Excellence brings in to partner with business partners. And this is just a fine example. Not only you guys are a business partner, but we've got you involved with an academy where you can get engineers trained to work directly or to work pipeline into Chevron for your needs and training, being part of the curriculum and how we work on that.
Right, exactly. And so when I first got involved in the program, I learned about it when I was up at Texas A&M
Right.
at a symposium, and it was called Writing the W into Engineering. And it was, with the shortage of engineering, we have an untapped resource out there, and that is the women. And we have a lot of women pursuing STEM degrees, but not necessarily in engineering.
Right.
And so that was really how I first got introduced to the program. And as I learned about the Chevron Academies, I started thinking that this is an awesome program that we're investing in the first couple of years of their education, that what else can we do to make them successful transitioning to Texas A&M at College Station, as well as into the workforce. And so that's kind of where I had taken this program of developing a mentoring program, because I think back to my engineering days, and I would have loved to have had someone to ask questions and help guide me as I was searching for what was I going to be when I grew up.
How do the students, how do you work, when you work with students, I'll first ask you, what's the biggest misconception a student may have when they go into this program that you may shed light on?
They think the program is only, for Chevron, recruiting for Chevron,
Right.
and it's not. We're really just trying to help increase the number of engineers in the industry. They also think everybody at Chevron is a petroleum engineer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, one of the very first things we do is we bring them into our downtown offices and show them a day in the life of an engineer, and show them that we're in every facet of the organization. And so you can be in cybersecurity or
Right.
in environmental and mechanical and petroleum.
Well, John, how important is it to get the feedback from partners like Chevron when you're establishing the curriculum in working with academies like these?
Well, it's easier for the HCC part in that the first 2 years of an engineering degree are pretty much the same for
Right.
all engineering majors. So where when they get to the main campus, there's 26 different engineering type degrees they can get. The first 2 years are the same for everyone. So it doesn't affect our curriculum as much as it really does once they decide, what do they really want to major in. I want to also add that we're very proud of the fact that we have almost double the national average of women enrolled in our academy.
Yeah.
I think the first cohort was 26% or something. And
Yeah.
I think the national average is about 13. And we have the highest percentage of African American,
Right.
engineers in the program. We have, of course, a very large percentage of Hispanic students, and so the diversity of Houston is reflected in the diversity of the students in the academy. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've got this partnership. That it is a large, untapped resource of both not only the ethnic diversity but economically underserved students.
Well, HCC is unique in a way, too, that we have so many international students and such a diverse student body. We have the largest international student body in the nation as far as community colleges. And that's reflected in your program from what you're saying.
And it's reflected in our women engineers.
Yeah.
A large number of those are Middle Eastern women. And the fact that they are able to live for the first 2 years at home helps to facilitate them getting through that 4-year degree. And so, we're not surprisingly, the diversity of our student population reflects the diversity of the population in the greater Houston area.
Do you find a difference between the mentality of the students who are going through this academy as opposed to ones who may just be going directly to a 4-year university when you mentor them or speak with them?
Yeah, well, you see all walks of life, and so many of them are holding down jobs, or
Right.
some of them already have children, and some of them have been to the military and have come back and are just now starting their education. So it is quite a broad range of individuals that we have in the program.
Can you think of, John, of a success story that you tell over and over to the folks you speak with about a student that may have gone on and doing great things today?
I can think of 3,000
Yeah.
of them, right? Yeah, we have students that work at night at the Federal Express distribution center, sleep 3 hours in their car, and then, take courses. And, I had a student that came to see me recently who started at HCC with developmental math and graduated last May from Texas A&M with an engineering degree. That wouldn't be possible without a partnership like this.
What about you, Shari? Can you think of a story that you remember that highlights what you've been doing?
So this program we've been having has only been the last 2 years, so that's been my exposure. And so I'm just now seeing some of the first students that I worked with moving to College Station and getting their first internship. So it is neat to kind of see them grow. But I haven't seen any graduate yet.
Right.
But
you're coming up on that.
We're coming up on it. I'm getting excited about it.
But that must be pretty cool. I mean, we talked earlier about the students getting excited moving off Texas A&M. That must be something that you've seen them, and that's a neat thing to see.
Yeah.
John, tell me once again the importance of having Chevron and this mentoring program that they're doing with your students, the intangibles that it offers to you.
Well, we would not have the Academy program if it wasn't for the catalyst of Chevron and recognition that unless we do something innovative like this, we're one of I think 6 or 7 locations that are scattered across the state of Texas. So. And that goes from the Rio Grande Valley to, all over the place. And it's in recognition of the fact that the traditional pathways to get an engineering degree that require you to be able to afford $100,000 or more and, and living away from home for 4 years, just made it not possible. For many individuals who would be excellent engineers to be able to pursue an engineering degree. And so by almost cutting the cost in half of an engineering degree, by making it possible for a student to live at home and in many cases work for the first 2 years, so that then they can afford to complete their degree in College Station, that if that pathway didn't exist, there's thousands of students that would not be able to get an engineering degree in the state of Texas. So it really is a strategic importance, not just to Houston, but to the state and to the country.
John Vasselli, the Dean of the HCC Engineering Center of Excellence, thanks for being here today. And Shari Ruelas, Chevron Operations Manager of Product Supply and Trading. Thank you both for being here on the topic and telling us about the Engineering Academy. If you'd like to know more about the Engineering Academy, you can find them at hccs.edu/engineering. And if you're watching us in social media, make sure you subscribe to our podcast and download all podcasts at hccs.edu/podcast. For the topic on HCC TV, I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you next time.